samsaradava nalalida loka tanaya karuna guna guna. You want to do a Nishigadev prayer? Yeah. Aptasyakaliyana guna ravasya Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam. Paptasya Kalyana Gunaravasya Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam. Mahaprabhu ki Tananitya Gita Parichamadhyam Manasurasena. Romanchakam Vasutaranga Vajo Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam. Shri Vigrahara Dhananitya Nana Shingaratan Mandira Majinada. You want to do Damodarastikam? Yasha Shri Vigrahara Dhananitya Nana Shingaratan Mandira Majinado. Yuktasya Bhaktam Saninjatopi Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam. Chaturvedashi Bhagavat Prasado Swadvana Chiptan Hari Bhakta Sangam. Kirtaiva Chiptim Bhajatas Sadaiva Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam. Samsaradava nalalida loka Chanaya karna gana ganatram. Paptasya kalyana gunaravasya Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam. Shiradhika Mad Havayurapara Madhurya Lila Gunarupanam. Pradikshana swadanulolupasya Vande Guru Shri Charanaravinda Vande Guru Shri Charanaravinda Vande Guru Shri Charanaravinda Nikunja Yuno Radikeli Siddhai Chayali Biyuktira Peksanina Tatarati Dakshad Abdi Balabhasya Vande Guru Shri Charanaravindaṁ Vande Guru Shri Charanaravindaṁ Vande Guru Shri Charanaravindaṁ Shakshadari Tsen Asamasta Sastri Yuktasya Bhavya Vyateva Sadvi Kintu Prabhuya Priya Eva Dasya Vande Guru Shri Charanaravinda Vande Guru Shri Charanaravinda Vande Guru Shri Charanaravinda Yasha Prasada Bhagavat Prasada Yasha Prasada Nakatika Tobi Dayam Stutvam Stasya Sasti Sandam Vande Guru Shri Charanaravinda Vande Guru Shri Charanaravinda Vande Guru Shri Charanaravinda Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namani Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paskajade Zatarine Bolo Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Bolo Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nitai Gaura Haribo Haribo Nitai Gaura Haribo Nitai Gaura Nitai Gaura Haribo Gora Hari Bol, Nitai Gora Hari Bol, Nitai Gora Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gora Hari Bol.
नमामीश्वरं सच्चिदानन्दरूपं लसत्कुण्डलं गोकुले भ्रजमानम्
Namamishwaram Satchidanandarupam Vasatkundalam Gokule Bhajamanam
यशोदाभियोलुकलाब्धवमानं परामृष्टमत्यन्ततो धृत्यगोप्या
Yasodaviyolukaladavamanam Param Jishtam Ahadyantato Dutya
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
रुदन्तमुहुर्नेत्र युग्मं भ्रुजन्तं कराम्भुजयुग्मेन शातकनेत्रम्
Rudantamuhurnitra-yugmam vijatam Karambujayugmena satankanitram
मुहुश्वासकं पात्रिरेखाङ्ककण्ठा स्थितग्रैवं दामोदरं भक्तिबद्धम्
Idam Kanta Stitai Graivam Damodaram Bhakti Bhajam
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
इति दृक्स्वलीलाभिरानन्दकुण्डे स्वघोषमिमजन्तम् आख्यापयन्तम्
Salila Kunde Swagosami Mahajantam Akyapayantam
ताडियेषि तज्ञेषु भक्तिर्जितत्वं पुनः प्रेमतस्तं शतावृत्तिवृन्दे
Kadiyashitagesu Bhaktachitatvam Pumak Prematastam Satavriti Vande
वरं देवमोक्षं न मोक्षावधिं वा न चान्यं प्रणेहं वरेषदपिहा
Nachanyam Rine Sambare Sadapiya
idam te vapurnath gopal balam सदा मे मनस्या विरास्तं किमन्ये
idam teva punata gopala balam sada me manasa virastam kimanya.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Idam te mukham bojam atyanta nilay Vratam kuntalay snigdha raktascha gopyam
Idam te mukumbo jamadhyanta nilay Vitam kundalay stigdha raktascha gopya
Muhushchumbitam bimba raktadharam me Manasya virastam alam lakshalabhe
Muhuchumbitam bimba raktam dharam me Manasa virastam alam lakshalabhe.
Namo deva damodar ananta vishnu Prasida prabho dukha jalabdi magnam
Nam Dharananta Vishnu Prasida Prabhu Dukha Jalabdi Magna
Krupa drushti vrishtyati dinam matanu Graha neshama madhyame dakshi drashya
Gadrishti Vishtiyati Dinam Dabandanu Kihane Samahamajanam Edi Akshidristya
Kuveratma jobadha mritvaiva yadva Tvaya mochita bhakti bhajo krutavcha
Noira Atma Jobadha Mujaiva Yadvan Tvaya Mochito Bhakti Bhajo Kritocha
Tata prema bhaktim sakamya prayacha Namokshe graho mesti damodareha
Tata prema bhaktim swahakame prayacha Namokshe graho mesti damodareya
Namaste stu damne spuradipti damne Tvadiyodharaya tha vishvasya damne
Namaste stu damne spura dipti damne Tvadiyodharaya ta vishvasya damne
Namo radhikaya tvadiya priyaya Namo nantalilaya devaya tubhyam
Namo Radhikaya Tvayadmya Priyaya Namo Nantadilaya Dhaniratrubhyam
Namo radhikaya tvadiya priyaya Namo nantalilaya devaya tubhyam
Namo Radhikaya Tvadiya Priyaya Namo Nantadilaya Devaya Tubhyam
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jaya Radha Damodar Radha Damodar Radhe Jaya
Damodar Radha Damodar Shri Radhe.
Jaya Radha Damodar Radha Damodar Radhe
Jaya Radha Damodar Radha Damodar Shri Radhe.
Jaya Yashoda Damodar Yashoda Damodar Yashoda Damodar Yashoda Jaya Krishna Balaram Jaya Krishna Balaram Jaya Krishna Balaram Jaya Krishna Balaram
Jaya Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram.
Jaya Vrindavan Dham Jaya Vrindavan Dham Jaya Vrindavan Dham Jaya Vrindavan Dham Jaya Jaya Vrindavan Dham Jaya Radha Nila Madhurada Nila Madhurade Jaya Jagannatha Jaya Jagannatha Jaya Baladeva Jaya Subhadra Jaya Jaya Sitaram Jaya Sitaram Jaya Sitaram Jaya Lakshman Hanuman Jaya Sitaram Jaya Lakshman Hanuman Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha Jaya Lakshmi Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya
Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravaja Gachasta Tarasatara Shri Shishimada's Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Premisika Hosha Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaura Bhaktavinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Go Gopinath Samakunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhana Ki Jai Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Shri Mayapura Dham Ki Jai Shri Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai Tulasi Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Ganga Maya Ki Jai Jamuna Maya Ki Jai Samavela Bhaktavinda Ki Jai Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai Damodarastakam Ki Jai Nitai Gaura Premanandi. All glories to the simple devotees. All glories to the simple devotees. All glories to the simple. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Guranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Patita Pavana Ki Jai. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutali Sumata Bhakti Vedanta Swami Tanami. Namaste Saraswati Devi Guruvani Vichani Vises Sunyam Paskati.
नमस्ते नरसिंहाय प्रह्लादलाददायिने हिरण्यकाशीपूर्वक्षः
अन्यकाशीपूर्वक्षः
शीलतङ्कानकालाय
Kilatam kanakalaye
ito नरसिंहा परतो नरसिंहा
Ito Nrsimha Parato Nrsimha
यतो यतो यामि ततो नरसिंहा
Yato Yato Yami Tato Nrsimha
बाहि नरसिंहा हृदये नरसिंहा
Aye Nrsimha Idaye Nrsimha
नरसिंहादिं शरणं प्रपदे तव करकमलवरे नाकाम् अद्भुतशृङ्गार दलिता हिरण्यकशिपु तनुभृङ्गा केशवधृता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे
Avakara Kamala Bare Nakam Varuta Singha Nalita Hiranya Kashipu Kanuvingam Shavadita Narariruva Jai Jagadesha Hare Jai Jagadesha Hare Jai Jagadesha Hare
केशवधृता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे
Keshavadita Narari Rupa Jaya Jagadesha Hare Jaya Jagadesha Hare Jaya Jagadesha Hare
जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव
Nrsimhadev Jaya Nrsimhadev Jaya Nrsimhadev Jaya Nrsimhadev
जय प्रह्लाद महाराज प्रह्लाद महाराज प्रह्लाद महाराज जय प्रह्लाद महाराज
Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj
जय जय गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव
Jaya Jaya Gurudev 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev
जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada
निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल जय नरसिंह भगवान की जय जय प्रह्लाद महाराज की
Sringade Bhagavan Ki Jai Vrindaye Tusideva Priyaye Keshavasya Cha Vishnu Bhakti Pradidevi Satyavata Namo Namaha Vrindaye Tulsi Deva Priyaye Keshavasya Cha Vishnu Bhakti Pradi Devi Satyvrata Namo Namaha. Vrindaye Tulsi Deva Priyaye Keshavasya Cha Vishnu Bhakti Pradi Devi Satyvrata Namo Namaha. Vrindaye Tulsi Devi Maharani Ki Jai.
तुलसी कृष्ण प्रेयसी नमो नमः।
तुलसी कृष्ण प्रेयसी नमो नमः।
राधा कृष्ण सेवा पावो हे अभिलाषी।
राधा कृष्ण सेवा पावा हे अभिलाषी।
नमो नमः। तुलसी कृष्ण प्रेयसी नमो नमः।
श्री कृष्ण प्रेयसी नमो नमः।
जे तुम्हारा शरणालो तारा वांछ पूर्णा हो।
जे तुम्हारा शरणालो तारा वांछ पूर्णा हो।
कृपा कोरी कोरो तारे वृंदावन वासी।
कृपा कोरी कोरो तारे वृंदावन वासी।
मोराए बिलास बिलास कुंज दियो वास।
मोराए बिलास बिलास कुंज दियो वास।
नायाने हेरी बो सादा जुगल रूप राशि।
नारायणे दिवा सदनवनवासी।
ये निवेदन तारो साखीर अनुगत करो।
हे निवेदन दर सखीर अनुगत करो।
सेवा आदि करो निज दासी।
सेवा आदि करो दिए करो निज दासी।
दीना कृष्ण दासे कोई कोई न मोर होय।
दीन कृष्ण दास
कोई जन मोर होय। श्री राधा गोविंद प्रेम सदाय नवासी।
श्री राधानंद प्रेम सदाय नवासी।
श्री राधा गोविंद प्रेम सदाय नवासी। श्री राधा गोविंद प्रेम सदाय नवासी। नमो नमः। तुलसी कृष्ण प्रेयसी नमो नमः।
श्री कृष्ण प्रेयसी नमो नमः।
यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्मागत्यधिकानि च तानि तानि प्राणशन्ति प्रदक्षिण पदे पदे।
यानि कानि च पापानि
ब्रह्मात्यधिकानि
च तानि तानि प्राणशन्ति प्रदक्षिण पदे पदे।
यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्महत्याधिकानि च तानि तानि प्राणशन्ति प्रदक्षिण पदे पदे
यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्महत्याधिकानि च तानि तानि प्राणशन्ति प्रदक्षिण पदे पदे
यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्महत्याधिकानि च तानि तानि प्राणशन्ति प्रदक्षिण पदे पदे
यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्महत्याधिकानि च तानि तानि प्राणशन्ति प्रदक्षिण पदे पदे
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Jaya Vrinda Devi Jaya Vrinda Devi Jaya Vrinda Devi Jaya Vrinda Devi
Jaya Vrinda Devi Jaya Vrinda Devi Jaya Vrinda Devi Jaya Vrinda Devi
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada
Jaya Jaya Gurudev 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev
Jaya Jaya Gurudev 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev
Nittai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nittai Gaura Hari Bol
Nittai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nittai Gaura Hari Bol Tulsi Devi Maharani ki jai Pindaye Tulsi Deva Priyaye Keshavasya cha Vishnu Bhakti Pradi Devi Satirata Namo Namaha Pindaye Tulsi Deva Priyaye Keshavasya cha Vishnu Bhakti Pradi Devi Satirata Namo Namaha Pindaye Tulsi Deva Priyaye Keshavasya cha Vishnu Bhakti Pradi Devi Satirata Namo Namaha Pindaye Tulsi Devi Maharani ki jai O Tulasi, beloved of Krishna, Krishna, whoever takes shelter of you has his wishes fulfilled. bestowing your mercy upon him and make you a resident of Vrindavan. My desire is to also grant me a residence of pleasure grove.
Thus, within my vision, I will always behold the beautiful pastimes of Radha and Krishna. I beg to make me a fellow covered damsels of Raj. Please give me the privilege of devotional service and make me on my service. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Shri Kastakam Ki Chaitanya Pavamada Vagni Nivapanam Shri Akari Vachandika Vitaranam Vidyavadu Jivanam Anandamuri Vardhanam Pratipadam Gunamrita Shadanam Sarvatmasnam Param Param Vijayati Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Nam Namakari Baudha Vija Sarvashaktis Tatra Pitanyamita Smarane Nakala Itadvishitava Kripaya Bhagavan Mamapi Durdhaivam Idrishamiyajani Nanoraga Trinadapi Sunichaina Tarorapi Saishnuna Amani Namanadena Kirtaniya Sadahari Na dhanam na janam na sundarim Kavitamba jagarisha kamaye Mama janmani janmanishwari Bhavatar bhakti raituki tvai Oi nandatanuja kinkaram Paditama vishame bhavambudo Kripaya tava par pankaja Stitaduli sadrisham vichintaya Nayanam galora shrudharaya Vadanam gadagada rudaya gira Pulakirnichitam Bapukara Tavanama Grahane Bhavisati Juga itam nimishena Chakusha Pravasa itam Shunya itam Jagat Sarvam Govinda Virahiname Asli Shavapagaratam Pinashtamam Adarshanar Manmatam Karotuva Jatatataba Vidadatulam Poto Matprananatastu Saivana Para Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Shri Kastakam Ki Jai. Namo Mahavarannaya Krishna Prema Pradaya Krishna Chaitanya Namani Gaura Tveshe. Glory to the Shri Krishna Sankirtana, which cleanses the heart of what is dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life with repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan moment is the prime benediction for humanity at large, because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss and enables us to fully taste the nectar for which always anxious. O my Lord, your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds of millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you have invested with transcendental energies. There is not even hard and fast rules to chant these names. O my Lord, out of kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by holy names. But I'm so unfortunate I have no attraction for them. Once we chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself Lord and strong and straight, one should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your cause and devotional service, birth after birth. O son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor. Yet some rather am falling in this ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. O my Lord, or will my eyes will be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? Or will my voice choke up? And will the hairs of my body stand on end listening your name? O Govinda, feeling your separation, I am considering one to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from eyes like torrents of rain, and I feel all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna is my Lord, and he should remain so. Even if he sunders me roughly by his embrace, or makes me broken-hearted by knowing present before me, He is completely free to do anything and everything, but he's always my worshipful Lord unconditionally. Shri 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 Kyastakam Ki. There are 10 offenses in matter of chanting the holy name of the Lord that should be avoided. They are as follows. 1. Blaspheme. Devotees who dedicate their life for propagating the holy name of the Lord. 2. Consider the names of the demigods, the Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, to be equal to independent of the name of Lord Vishnu. 3. To disobey the orders of the spiritual master. 4. To blaspheme the Vedic literature or literature and pursuits of Vedic version. 5. Consider the glory of chanting Hare Krishna to be imagination. 6. Give some interpretation of the name of the Lord. 7. To commit sinful activities on strength of chanting the name of the Lord. 8. Consider chanting Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities which are often Vedas as spiritual activity karma kanda. 9. To strike the fearless person by the glories of the holy name. And 10. To not have complete faith in chanting the holy names and to maintain material attachments, even after understanding so many stripes in this matter. It also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be Vaishnava must carefully guard against these 10 offenses in order to quickly achieve desires.
Krishna Prema.
Now let us offer our most humble obeisance unto the Vaishnavas, devotees of the Lord. They are just like desire trees, they can fulfill the desires of everyone, and they are full of compassion for the following conditions.
Kripa Sindhu Bhiya Patitanam Pavane Vaishnavi Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutali Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Tinamini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharini Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paskati Desaturn Srimad Bhagavatam Grantaraj Ki Jai Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Canto 2, Chapter 7, Text number 40. Vishnu Nuvirya Gananam Katamor Rihatya Vishnu Nuvirya Gananam Katamor Rihatya Yapartivan Apikavir Vimane Rajamsi Chaskamba Yaswa Rahasas Kalata Tripristam Yasmat Trisamya Sadanad Uru Kampayanam Kavi, great scientist. Vimame. No, I'm sorry, wait a minute. Sorry, excuse me. Yeah, Vishnu, of Lord Vishnu. Nu, but. Virya, prowess. Gananam, in the matter of accounting. Katama, who else? Arhati, is able to do it. Iha, in this world. Ya, one who. Partivani, the atoms. Api, also. Kavi, great scientist. Vimame, might have counted. Rajamsi, particles. Chaskamba, could catch. Ya, one who. Swarahasa, by his own leg. Askalata, without being hampered. Tripristam, the topmost planetary space. Yasmat, by which. Trisamya, the neutral state of the three modes. Sadanat, up to that place. Urakampayanam, moving very greatly. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Who can describe completely the prowess of Vishnu? Even the scientist, who might have counted the particles of the atoms of the universe, cannot do so, because it is he only who, in his form of Trivikrama, moved his leg effortlessly beyond the topmost planet, Satyaloka, up to the neutral state of the three modes of material nature, and all were moved. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The highest scientific advancement of the material scientist is atomic energy. But the material scientist is not able to have an estimation of the particles of atoms contained in the whole universe. But even if one is able to count such atomic particles, or is able to roll up the sky like one's bedding, even then one is unable to estimate the extent of the prowess and energy of the Supreme Lord. He is known as Trivikrama because once, in his incarnation of Vamana, he expanded his leg beyond the highest planetary system, Satyaloka, and reached the neutral state of the modes of nature called the covering of the material world. There are 7 layers of material coverings over the material sky, and the Lord could penetrate even those coverings. With his toe, he made a hole through which the water of the causal ocean filters into the material sky, and the current is known as the sacred Ganges, which purifies the planets of the 3 worlds. In other words, no one is equal to the transcendently powerful Vishnu. He is omnipotent, and no one is equal to or greater than him. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Who can describe completely the prowess of Vishnu? Even the scientists, who might have counted the particles of the atoms of the universe, cannot do so, because it is he only who, in his form of Trivikrama, moved his leg effortlessly beyond the topmost planet Satyaloka up to the neutral state of the 3 modes of material nature, and all were moved. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutali Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Tinamani Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paskatya Desatarnya Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nitai Gaura Premanandi. Krishna, Lord Krishna, has an intimate relationship with his devotees. This is explained in Bhagavad Gita, 9th chapter, where it says that even if one commits the most abominable action, if he or she is engaged in devotional service, he is to be considered saintly because he is properly situated in his determination. What determination? To continue in devotional service. And then it says, such a person quickly becomes righteous and attains lasting peace. O son of Kunti, declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes. O son of Prita, those who take shelter in me, though they be of lower birth, women, Vaishyas, merchants, as well as Sudras, workers, can attain the supreme destination. How much more this is so of the righteous Brahmanas, the devotees, and the saintly kings. Therefore, having come to this temporary miserable world, engage in loving service unto me. Engage your mind always in thinking of me. Become my devotee. Offer obeisances to me and worship me. Being completely absorbed in me, surely you will come to me. Okay, so this is how affectionate Krishna is. No one, no matter what their position is going to be obstructed from going back to Godhead, even in this lifetime, if they take to devotional service with the help of bona fide gurus, Siksha and Diksha gurus. No one, even the lowest person, can become the best person by engaging in devotional service. Now, Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains this further, and he says, one should regard a devotee of Krishna to be on the right path of the saints, even though such a devotee may seem to be sudurachara, a person of loose character. One should try to understand the real purport of the word sudurachara. A conditioned soul has to act for double functions in life. A conditioned soul has to act for double functions, namely, for the maintenance of the body and again for self-realization. Social status, mental development, cleanliness, austerity, nourishment, and the struggle for existence are all for the maintenance of the body. The self-realization part of one's activities is executed in one's occupation as a devotee of the Lord, and one performs actions in that connection also. One must perform these two different functions along parallel lines because a conditioned soul cannot give up the maintenance of his body. The proportion of activities for maintenance of the body decreases, however, in proportion to the increase in devotional service. As long as the proportion of devotional service does not come to the right point, there is a chance for an occasional exhibition of worldliness. But it should be noted that such a worldliness cannot continue for long, because, by the grace of the Lord, such imperfections will come to an end very shortly. Therefore, the path of devotional service is the only right path. If one is on the right path, even an occasional occurrence of worldliness does not hamper one in the advancement of self-realization. So, now we see the largesse, the great, let's say, presence of the mercy of Krishna in all states of existence, if one is willing to hear on a regular basis. If they don't want to hear on a regular basis, then there's no hope. But if they're willing to hear, just like Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Atmanivedanam, Sakyam Atmanivedanam. So we see that the first two principles of the 9 principles of devotional service is Shravanam, Kirtanam, hearing and repeating what you've heard. That is the most important part of devotional service. And this regular hearing is necessary so that we bring the maintenance of the body to the right point by decreasing it to a minimal level where you keep body and soul together, but now you increase the devotional service and responsibilities so that you make tangible spiritual advancement, and at the same time you maintain your material necessities in life and duties. Everybody has duties. Husband has to take care of wife has to take care of kids and husband, so forth. All these duties are there. They're not absolutely necessary, but we chose to do those things. So since you choose to do them, you are duty bound to do them. But you're not obliged to do all those things. You could very well remain celibate your whole life. But even in marriage, one is supposed to be celibate. This is what's misunderstood by the Christians and the Muslims and all the others and even some devotees. One is supposed to be celibate also in marriage. In other words, therefore, Dharma viruddha bhutesu kamosmi bharatar sabha. I am sex life according to the principles of religiosity, Krishna says. So when one uses sex only for the maintenance, only for reproduction of children, and then takes the responsibility of raising the children in Krishna consciousness, that is the what you would call the progressive understanding of sex. Sex is not just the act of sex. The progressive understanding of sex is bringing the children up to be devotees. Then you've completed the process. Most people just think that sex is the act of sex only. It's not true. So this is also explained in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam in the 2nd canto, 6th chapter, 20th verse, where Prabhupada says, in order to award the highest benefit of human life, the Varnashram system trains the follower to adopt the vow of celibacy, beginning from the order of brahmachari. The brahmachari life is for the students who are educated to follow strictly the vow of celibacy. Youngsters who have had no taste for sex life can easily follow the vow of celibacy. And once fixed in the principle of such a life, one can very easily continue to the highest perfectional stage, attaining the kingdom of the 3/4 energy of the Lord, meaning Vaikuntha and Goloka Vrindavan. It is already explained that in the cosmos of the 3/4 energy of the Lord, there is neither death nor fear, and one is full of the blissful life of happiness and knowledge. Now you see, this is what people don't understand. If we understand that our soul is eternal and the body is temporary, then we'll aim to liberate the soul from the body. But if we think that the body is the soul and therefore death is inevitable, although people promise us that by some kind of material manipulation they will be able to vanquish death, which is false. There are laws of nature. Laws of nature are implacable. The laws of nature are impossible to overcome. Therefore, there's birth, old age, disease, and death. You can't overcome those things. No one has ever overcome them. Even Jesus Christ died, and then he resurrected. He had to die first. See? So that no one is going to get free from birth, death, old age, and disease. It's the law of nature. And there are many other laws also. If we understand them, then we become very cautious. Just like I was speaking to this one gentleman the other day at our Arlington farm, and he works there for the previous owner. And we were looking around at different parts of the farm, and there was this one room where there was a motorcycle. And I looked at the motorcycle, and it didn't look like it worked. So I said to him, "Is this your motorcycle?" He said, yeah, that's my motorcycle. I said, "Does it work?" He said, "No, it doesn't work." I said, "What happened?" He said, "I had an accident." "You had an accident?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Look, I know everybody that has a motorcycle has always had an accident. I used to have a motorcycle. I had an accident. I stopped driving it, because it's too dangerous." He said, "Yeah, I think you're right." He said, "There was such a bad accident. All my skin was taken off of my arms." And he showed me his hands and his arms. I said, "You're going to fix that motorcycle?" He said, "I want to fix it. Are you going to use it again?" Maybe. I said, "Look, that's stupid. Don't you understand? It's too dangerous. You could kill yourself." He said, "No, I think you're right." So we see that even though someone is suffering, it doesn't mean, and they know what the cause of the suffering is, it doesn't mean they're going to stop. You see, that's how crazy people are. So here it says that it is already explained that in the cosmos of 3/4 energy of the Lord, there is neither death nor fear, and one is one is full of the blissful life of happiness and knowledge. What a wonderful statement that is. That is our real destiny, right? A householder attached to family life can easily give up such a life of sex indulgence if he or she has been trained in the principles of the life of a brahmachari. So Prabhupada established brahmacharis and, quote, brahmacharinis. There's no brahmacharinis in India. Traditionally, girls were not given this training. They were trained to take care of the home and children and so forth. But Prabhupada is very merciful. He made brahmacharis and brahmacharinis, and he let them live in the same building. That's another thing it's a no-no in India in traditional Vedic Dharma. They don't let boys and girls live in the same building. But Prabhupada said, if someone follows Krishna consciousness, it's so powerful that even though men and women live in the same building, they will not be disturbed. That's if they follow. So here it says, a householder is recommended it says, a householder attached to family life can easily give up such a life of sex indulgence if he has been trained in the principles of the life of a brahmachari. A householder is recommended to quit home at the end of 50 years. Pancha sordvam vanam vrajet, and live a life in the forest. Then, being fully detached from family affection, he may accept the order of renunciation as a sannyasi fully engaged in the service of the Lord. Any form of religious principles in which the followers are trained to pursue the vow of celibacy is good for the human being, because only those who are trained in that way can end the miserable life of material existence. There it is. This is a very important statement by Prabhupada. He says, any form of religious principles in which the followers are trained to pursue the vow of celibacy is good for the human being, because only those who are trained in that way can end the miserable life of material existence. The principles of nirvana, as recommended by Lord Buddha, are also meant for ending the miserable life of material existence, and this process, in the highest degree, is recommended here in the Srimad Bhagavatam, with clear perception of ideal perfection, although basically there is no difference between the process of the Buddhists, the Sankarites, and the Vaishnavites. For promotion to the highest standard, the highest status of perfection, namely freedom from birth and death, anxiety and fear, not one of these processes allows the follower to break the vow of celibacy. Wow. It's a very important statement by Prabhupada. And if we want to make spiritual advancement in this lifetime and go back to Godhead, like some people say, no, I don't want to go back to Godhead. I knew one man, he was wealthy, he was a good friend of mine, and he died of a heart attack way before when he should have died from a heart attack. But before he died, he told me, if there is rebirth, he said, I want to be reborn in Clyde Hill. Clyde Hill is a neighborhood next to Medina, where all the rich people live, right? So I want to be born here again. I said, Prabhu, that's a crazy statement. What do you mean crazy? I said, that's a crazy statement. You don't want to be reborn here. You're just going to suffer like you're suffering now. I said, why don't you get free of this? Become Krishna conscious. He said, no. I want to be born in Clyde Hill. Well, he is born in Clyde Hill, I think, as maybe a cockroach or a rat or a rabbit, maybe a rabbit, more the mode of goodness. So you see, people are crazy. They've gone crazy in the material world. And the cause of it, as at one time a devotee said, I think Freud also is a nonsense. Prabhupada said, not exactly. He said, he got one thing right. And what is that? He said, people stay in the material world because of their attachment. First of all, people come to the material world for sex life, and they stay in the material world with attachment to sex life. That's what So this is the one thing that's holding people back. One time whenever we talk about the reason why we've come to the material world, Prabhupada clearly says, and the Shastra clearly says, it's for sense gratification. It's not any other. We didn't come here for alcohol or marijuana. We didn't come here for meat eating. We didn't come here to gamble. We came here for sense gratification, although those things are expansions of sense gratification, but the fundamental sense gratification is illicit sex. And this is what keeps people in the throes of birth, death, old age, and disease. But however, here there's a statement of hope for everybody. Mam chayovi bicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunam sanatityaitam brahma bhuyaya kalpate. Anyone who engages in devotional service with determination and does not falter, does not fall down, they attain the state free of the three modes of material nature and are able to come back to Godhead. So, if we know what the goal is, then we should strive for that. Like, for example, we know what the goal is in basketball. You get the ball in the hoop. We know what the goal is in baseball. You want to hit a home run, right? We know what the goal is in hockey. You put the puck in the net. We know what the goal is in football. You have to run to the across the line. We know what the goal is in all these things, except life. That's the one place where we don't know what the goal is. The goal is to go back to Godhead, where we came from. That's where we were before. And now we have an opportunity to go back. That's the whole purpose of the material nature. It gives us an opportunity to go back to Godhead as soon as we reach the human form of life. But if we continue to live like animals, only eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, and don't pay any attention to feeding our soul, just like some people talk about soul food, but usually that's barbecued ribs. But real soul food is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This is soul food. That's feeding your soul, right? And then hearing what we just heard, what Bhaktivinoda Thakur said and what Krishna said in Bhagavad Gita. That's soul food. That's giving you an idea. Wait a minute, this is who I really am. I'm not this body. I am this soul. This body's changing all the time, but my soul is witnessing all the changes. Therefore, I want to feed my soul. I don't want to starve it. I don't want to become Atmaha. In the Ishopanishad, it says, Asurya namate loka andena tamasavritaha tamste pritya bhigichanti ye kechatma hano janaha. This Atma Hano means the killer of the soul. This verse says, the killer of the soul, whoever he may be, must enter into the planets known as the worlds of the faithless, full of darkness and ignorance. Believe me, that's a description of where we are right now. This is the world of the faithless, and it's full of darkness and ignorance. We see it every day on the television, in the news, on the internet, in politics, in social intercourse, and everywhere. It's full of darkness and ignorance and faithlessness. Why should we subject ourselves to this? That's not our real purpose in life, is to remain in such a situation. And then Prabhupada says, human life is distinguished from animal life due to its heavy responsibilities. Did you ever tell your kid that they have heavy responsibilities? Huh? We have to explain this to children. This human life has heavy What is the heavy responsibility? Those who are cognizant of these responsibilities and who work in that spirit are called suras, godly persons. And those who are neglectful of these responsibilities or who have no information of them are called asuras, or demons. That means 99% of the population of the world is asura. They don't realize what their responsibility is in life. Throughout the universe, there are only these two types of human beings. In the Rig Veda, it is stated that the suras always aim at the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord Vishnu and act accordingly. And that's Rig Veda, where it says that all the devas are aiming for the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu. Om Tat Vishnu Paramam Padam Sadapasyanti Surayo Devivad Shakshiratatam Tat Vipasno Vipanyavo. They're always aiming for Padam, the lotus feet of the Lord. That means they're always engaged in humble service to the Lord. These are godly people, right? That's the heavy responsibility. Because, why is it so heavy? Because almost everybody else is doing the opposite. See, there was once a man, and he heard a prophecy that at one point all the water in his town would change, and whoever drank that water would become crazy. So he was forewarned. And when that day came, he knew what the day was. And when that day came, people drank the water and they became crazy, and he avoided it. But because now he was the only one that wasn't crazy and everybody else was crazy, he eventually drank some of the water purposely so he could join the others. This is what happens. This is what happens when your kid goes to school. Before they go to school, they're trained, chant Hare Krishna. Are you chanting around? Yes, Mommy, I'm chanting. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram. Okay, here's your Jagannath deities. You can worship them every day. Okay, Mommy, you can make some clothing for me, for my deity? Yes. Here's the clothing. Okay, so now they start chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare, and they're dressing their deities, right? All of a sudden, when they go to school, like I saw this happen. This is one devotee lives near Portland. He bought a little farm. And his kid was, completely Krishna conscious, right? Then he sent him to the kindergarten, right? And the next time I went to visit them, the kid had 55 different types of dinosaurs. And he said, "Oh, Prabhuji, look at my dinosaurs. This is Brontosaurus. This is Trachosaurus. This is Dakatoko, Dakatuka, Dakataka. The kid was an expert in dinosaurs. He gave up the deities, and he gave up chanting Hare Krishna. He was worshiping the dinosaurs. Where did he learn about the dinosaurs? Did he learn dinosaurs from the Bhagavad Gita? No, he learned it in kindergarten. See, this is crazy. Right? But yet, the parents send their kids to these type of schools. See? So here it says that throughout the universe, there are only these two types of human beings. In the Rig Veda, it is stated that the suras, not the asuras, but the suras, the godly persons, always aim at the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord Vishnu and act accordingly. Their ways are as illuminated as the path of the sun. Intelligent human beings must always remember that the soul obtains a human form after an evolution of many millions of years in the cycle of transmigration. The material world is sometimes compared to an ocean, and the human body is compared to a solid boat designed especially to cross this ocean. Look what Prabhupada is saying. This is amazing statements. Yeah. The Vedic scriptures and the acharyas, or saintly teachers, are compared to expert boatmen, and the facilities of the human body are compared to favorable breezes that help the boat ply smoothly to its desired destination. If, with all these facilities, a human being does not fully utilize his life for self-realization, he must be considered Atmaha. Atmaha means killer of the soul. Sri Isha Upanishad warns in clear terms that the killer of the soul is destined to enter into the darkest region of ignorance to suffer perpetually. This is horrible. Why would we submit our children to this? Why would we submit ourselves to this? See? And the one thing that Freud got a little bit right is that people get attached to sex life. Just like one time, Prabhupada was in South India, in Nellore, and he was staying in the house of this wealthy man. And the man wanted to introduce his family to Prabhupada. So he brought his wife in and said, "Prabhupada, this is my wife." Prabhupada said, "Hari Bol." And then he went out and came back, and he said, "Prabhupada, this is my first son, this is my first daughter, this is my second son, this is my third son, this is my second daughter." Prabhupada said, "Hari Bol." Then he went out and came back again. He said, "This is my grandson, and my first grandson. This is my second grandson. This is my first granddaughter. This is my third grandson. This is my fourth." Prabhupada said, "Hari Bol." Then he went out, came back again, and introduced some So finally, Prabhupada, when he went out the next time, Prabhupada said to a devotee, said, "This is my sex life." In other words, he was presenting to Prabhupada all these family members, right? And it was a large family, right? And basically, it was all based on reproduction. See? So, and he was proud of this. In a sense, in a material sense, it's an achievement. If a man can maintain a wife and kids, he's a hero nowadays. Most people, they'll say, "Oh, I don't want any kids," or "Well, just one kid," but that later on, not right away, right? Nowadays, people don't want, or they don't even get married anymore. They just live with each other, and then if some little problem is in, and they leave each other, and they find other people. So I have a grandson, not a grandson, but a nephew, and a brilliant guy. He's a Harvard graduate. He's very wealthy. He's never gotten married. Every time I see him, I say, "Hey, Api, are you married yet?" Nope. Right? He's like in his 50s now. The kids don't want to get married anymore, or if they get married, they don't want to have a lot of kids. They just have one kid, or no kids. Some people don't even have any. Don't want kids. In fact, I met this one man. He's a geotech engineer. I had to hire him, but he was a very smart guy. One day we were talking. We became friends because I had to deal with him for a long time. And one day he said, I made a big mistake in my life. I said, "Really? What was it?" He said, "My wife told me that we shouldn't have any more kids because bringing them into this world where there's, ecological disaster and there's political problems." And she said, "We shouldn't bring any more kids into the world." He said, and I believed her. But now I realize it's a big mistake. I said, "Why was it a mistake?" "Well, we only had one kid, and he's crazy. If we had more kids, one of them would have been good." So, here's a guy, he's like 60 years old. He's regretting that he didn't bring kids into the world. He didn't bring more kids into the world because his wife and him became convinced that the world is rotten and no good and that they shouldn't do that. So, huh? So we see how people make mistakes in life. They make mistakes by not having hope for the future. Now, the devotee has hope for the future if the future is Krishna conscious. If it's not Krishna conscious, then people become pessimistic, and many people are pessimistic today. In fact, the birth rate has gone down in the United States. So is that good? Well, it would be good if illicit activities went down with it. But the illicit activities haven't gone down with it, they've increased. So the birth rate went down, the illicit activities increased. So we see how people are confused. So Prabhupada says here, I'm going to read a little bit more of this because it's absolutely brilliant. He says, "There are swine means pigs, dogs, camels, asses, etc., whose economic necessities are just as important to them as ours are to us. But the economic problems of these animals are solved only under nasty and unpleasant conditions. The human being is given all facilities for a comfortable life by the laws of nature because the human form of life is more important and valuable than animal life. Why is man given a better life than that of the swine, meaning pigs, and other animals? Why is a highly placed government servant given better facilities than those of an ordinary clerk? The answer is that a highly placed officer has to discharge duties of a higher nature." So how did he start this all off? This purport is said that human life is distinguished from animal life due to its heavy responsibilities, right? The answer is that a highly placed officer has to discharge duties of a higher nature. Similarly, the duties human beings have to perform are higher than those of animals, who are always engaged in simply feeding their hungry stomachs. Yet the modern soul killing civilization. Look what he said. The modern soul-killing civilization, Atmaha, right, has only increased the problems of the hungry stomach. Yet the modern soul-killing civilization has only increased the problems of the hungry stomach. When we approach a polished animal in the form of a modern civilized man and ask him to take interest in self-realization, he will say that he simply wants to work to satisfy his stomach and that there is no need of self-realization for a hungry man. The laws of nature are so cruel, however, that despite his denunciation of the need for self-realization and his eagerness to work hard to fill his stomach, he is always threatened by unemployment. So, then Prabhupada gets very specific. We are given this human body, or human form of life, not to work hard like asses, swine, and dogs, but to attain the highest perfection of life. If we do not care for self-realization, the laws of nature force us to work very hard, even though we may not want to do so. Human beings in this age have been forced to work hard like the asses and bullocks that pull carts. Some of the regions where the asuras are sent to work are revealed in this verse of Sri Upanishad. If a man fails to discharge his duties as a human being, he's forced to transmigrate to the asura planets and take birth in degraded species of life to work hard in ignorance and darkness. There it is. So, all this wisdom is given to us. Are we going to hear it and read it and meditate on it? Like I've read Ishopanishad about 4 or 5 times. Every time I read it, I realize I didn't read it before because I didn't notice all these things, you know. But when you start noticing it, the taste to continue hearing and reading and discussing becomes greater and greater, and the taste for making more money and acquiring more properties and this and that lowers, where you realize, I don't want all that. I just want a simple life so I can relish this. And then preach it to others and convince others also. They don't know what they're missing. This is the real Mahotsav. Haribol. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much. Are there any questions? Yeah.
This book, like this Upanishad, this one book is sufficient to convince any philosopher or any knowledgeable, any intellectuals. That's why Prabhupada.
You know why he chose that picture? Because that picture defeats the impersonalists. The impersonalists don't think that this exists. They say there's nothing like that. It's only Brahman. This defeats the impersonalists. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaura Premanandi Haribol. Thank you.
We can never stop much. This is amazing. Further, Prabhupada conveys nicely in that.
It's all nectar, but if we go further, everyone will say, oh, the class is too long. And I got to get to work, and I got to go to school and learn some more Asuric civilization, culture, soul-killing civilization. Yeah, soul-killing animal. Atmaha. Nobody can write like this. Only a pure devotee can write like this.
Boat analogy is amazing.
Huh? Yeah.
Human body and the boat.
Yeah.
Like
Human body is made to cross the ocean of material suffering. And yet people want to stay in the ocean.
The analogy you are right, Prabhuji, like the higher official is given more salary compared to a clerk.
Yeah.
Like that we have higher, because he has higher responsibility.
Yeah.
That Prabhupada drives that first
That's
sentence.
why his life is easier.
Yes.
They make it easier for him.
The first sentence, he drives after building up all of them, in that sentence he drives the point home.
Yeah.
Human responsibility is meant for higher responsibilities.
Yeah.
Human life.
Yeah. Self-realization. It's a big responsibility.
He's given that extra facility because he has higher responsibility.
Yeah.
And life is made easier for him.
And that, you know, what Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote is amazing. Right?
Parallel. Oh, that is coming from which one? Where will you read?
That was the 16th mantra.
16th one. Parallel yogi. And then bringing it to a closure.
Yeah, it's the 16th. Is it the 16th? Wait a minute, 1 second. Just double check here. Yes, 16th mantra. Yeah. Exactly. 1 second, let me just double check, make sure.